Good morning. Please turn to number 140 in the gray hymnal. Rise in body or spirit, and join me in singing Hail the Glorious Golden City.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Ann Arbor, a presence in the community since 1865. I'm the Reverend Eric Hausman, and it is good to be visiting again. It's good to be back in this pulpit with all of you. If you are new to us and online, I invite you to introduce yourself in the chat, and also the new member survey can be found at uuaa.org/newcomer survey. And also, if you're here in person, welcome as well. If you'd like more information on the congregation or on Unitarian Universalism, there'll be a session in the Redmond room after the service, and that's just out the doors on the left. There's also an interfaith service this afternoon at 4 p.m. here in this sanctuary. It's the Interfaith Roundtable of Washtenaw County, and again, this afternoon at 4 p.m. And lastly, next Sunday is Pie Sunday. Yay! So good news, pie. Also good news, you get to make it. Just no nuts, but otherwise bring your favorite family recipe or whatever kind of pie you'd like to contribute to the party. As we prepare our hearts for worship today, we continue in the words of Kathleen McTeague. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edges of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble always into the next moment until we find for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and to find there a kind of communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, of memory and hope, is hallowed by our presence together.
"11 days ago, the day after the election, I came into this space to light a candle and share with others my fears and my despair. In dark days and hard times, kindling a flame is an act of hope and comfort, courage and resistance. Our flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith, was born in the dark days of World War II. Its design, commissioned by the Unitarian Service Committee, as a sign of safe passage for those fleeing Nazi persecution. Ever since, the chalice has lived in our hearts as a symbol of both safety and resistance, a beacon calling us home. Its comforting warmth provides sanctuary, even as the force of its heat calls us to action. Today, as we gather anew in the glow of our chalice, let us honor its history and look to its light as our guide in the difficult days ahead. This morning, Hal and Kathy Breidenbach will kindle our flame. And as Hal and Kathy make their way to the chancel, I invite those of you watching online to light your own chalice or candle. And please enter your location in the chat so all may see the reach of our faith and the strength of our resolve. Together let us say, we light this chalice for the light of truth. We light this chalice for the warmth of love. We light this chalice for the energy of action. We light this chalice for the harmony of peace. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Hal. Our covenant binds us together in love. Now more than ever, we need each other for community, for support, for inspiration. Our promise to help each other is a promise to be present in moments of loss, uncertainty, and fear. These are not idle words, but a solemn vow to lift each other up when we are at our most vulnerable. Such a time is now upon us. As we speak the words of our covenant, please know that you are not alone. Together let us say, the spirit of this church is love, and service is its law. This is our covenant with each other, to dwell together in peace, to search for truth in love, and to help one another.
Many years ago, when I first started teaching high school history, I found myself faced with a conundrum. How do I give my students a full, honest accounting of our nation's history without creating a generation of hopeless cynics? Chapter upon chapter of struggle, oppression, war, and injustice, it has an impact. When I was in college, I read Lies My Teacher Told Me by James Loewen, and I remember the outrage building, page after page, as all of the myths that were fed as children in the name of American exceptionalism became clear. Myths that for many perpetuate into adulthood and inform their values and their politics. I made a promise to myself that I would never present a sanitized version of American history when I had the chance to stand in front of a room of impressionable young people. What I discovered is that learning the truth did not, in fact, lead to despair or hopelessness or helplessness. The opposite happened. The stark reality of their world shocked them out of complacency. It sparked a fire of commitment to make the world better, to actually bring about the exceptional America that existed only in their imaginations. Because those students also heard a story of resilience, of resistance, of community, of the power of people to do hard things. I love history because it offers perspective, a bird's eye view of the past from high above. You learn to see patterns, waves of progress, followed by the inevitable reactionary backlash. And sometimes it can make you cynical about the possibility of change. History teachers often feel like Cassandra from Greek mythology, a priestess famously blessed with the gift of prophecy, but also cursed to have every prediction ignored. When you go big, as movements for racial justice, climate justice, and civil rights inevitably and justifiably should and do, that backlash comes hard and fast with ferocity. History is not linear. Right now, it may feel like we're actually going backwards. I think about what my history students taught me, their wide-eyed optimism in the face of the terrors and tragedies that dot the landscape of American history. It doesn't actually have to be this way. We can do hard things. We can make the world we want to see, even if we have to start small. Our story for all ages this morning poses the essential question that we must ask ourselves in challenging times. Why not? A story about discovering our bright possibilities. Written by Kobe Yamada, illustrated by Gabriela Baruch. This is it. This is your rare and wonderful life. It is the greatest gift you will ever receive. Everything you want and everything you dream of is waiting. You have a vast treasure of talents and potential hidden inside you, and your life is ready for you to discover all of it. Why not find out how remarkable your life can be? Why not make the most of every moment? You were born for wonder and awe. You are here to marvel at the beauty of this world and to experience the joy of being alive. Be a stranger to the ordinary. Get to know the unknown. Why not try something you've never tried before? Why not go somewhere you've never gone before? Stay curious, have adventures, make room for what you love. Discover the world's wonders and know you are one of them too. So much of life depends on how you look at things and how you see yourself. You are shaped by the choices you make. How will you answer when today asks what you learned from yesterday? Why not see how good your best can be? Why not make the most of your life? things won't always go according to plan. The way might be difficult. You may get worn out and tired. You may feel lost. You might want to turn back. But know that every step moves you a little closer to where you want to go, if you have the courage to take it. Embrace it all, even the messy parts, especially the messy parts. And don't be fooled by fear. It has a way of shrinking possibilities and diminishing dreams. Have faith. Keep going. You can be the difference. You are made of sunrises and second chances. You are the hope of a brand new day. Even if the odds are 1,000,000 to 1, why not be the one? Don't wait for things to be great, to be grateful. Paying attention is an act of love. Noticing is caring. Beauty is all around and in everything. It just needs you to recognize it. Why not look for the good in everyone and everything? Open your heart. Take it all in. This is your everywhere. This is your home. You are connected to everything, and everything is connected to you. Every little bit of good helps. Every act of kindness builds. Every bit of compassion heals. Everything you have ever loved becomes a part of you. It all counts. Why not leave the world a little better than you found it? The end. And now is the time in our service when we sing our children to their programs. I invite all of the elementary kids to follow their adult leaders with their signs to the lower level for a choice day, as the congregation sings with love and tenderness.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Our community is home to so many social justice groups that you can be forgiven for losing track. Once a month, to help you sort through all the many ways that we seek to build a better world, our Social Justice Connection showcases one group. And today, Hal Breidenbach is here to tell us about our Equal Exchange Fair Trade program. Please give him your warmest welcome.
I love coffee, I love tea, and I love the Java Jive, and it loves me. Good morning. I am Hal Breidenbach. I'm representing the Fair Trade Coffee Group here at UUAA to talk about our social justice connection. An interesting question. How can equal exchange coffee and chocolate that we sell every Sunday in the social hall be connected with social justice? Well, let me explain. Our volunteer team sells Equal Exchange products, and Equal Exchange is a worker-owned co-op with over 40 democratically organized farmer cooperatives around the world. Our coffee comes from 24 farmer groups in 11 countries. Equal Exchange buys cocoa only from farmers who promise not to use child labor, which is a common practice for many cocoa producers. And we sell Palestinian olive oil. For years, Equal Exchange was a UUSC project. When the UUSC dropped out, we continued donating a portion of our profits to the UUSC. This important service group provides aid in trouble spots around the world, as you have heard before from this pulpit. Each fall, the UUSC hosts a special collection called Guest at Your Table, using collection boxes for you to donate coins or tightly folded bills every time you sit down at your table. A great modeling for kids. You'll hear more about that from the spiritual growth and development folks. So where I'm headed is that there are 4 groups of people who benefit from our coffee and chocolate sales. One group is the Equal Exchange farmers who receive a fair price for their products. The second is the UUSC, which last year received $800 from us, and so far this year another $500. The third group to benefit is the UUAA. Last year that amounted to a $2,400 donation, and so far this year we've donated around $1,500. And the fourth group that benefits from our sales, why, that's you, all our customers. You get top quality products at competitive prices because our team is all volunteer and we have no overhead. So we donate all of our profits to the church and to the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. We have some pictures. Do we have some pictures now? There we do. We have pictures of our happy customers with their favorite products. So what do we sell every Sunday morning? We offer coffee in 12 different blends and roasts, assorted teas, caffeinated, herbal, black, green, chocolate chips, cocoa, and chocolate bars in, wait for it, 10 flavors and intensities of cocoa. Plus, we sell olive oil from Palestine and dried mangoes. Giving season is fast approaching, Thanksgiving, holiday parties, Christmas, and our products make wonderful hostess gifts, gourmet gifts for cooks and coffee connoisseurs, and delectable stocking stuffers. So we invite you to stop by our table in the social hall, check out what we have to offer, get yourself a treat, begin your holiday stockpile of treats to give away, and keep those 4 groups of people happy. Thank you. Coffee, tea, and the Java Jive and me, a cup of coffee.
Thank you, Hal. Since my household purchases chocolate by the box, by the many boxes, I can offer a heartfelt endorsement of this program. As we turn to our weekly offering, it helps to remind ourselves of all the ways we do good in the world. This community is so worthy of our support. The spiritual practice of our Sunday offering allows us to mindfully express our gratitude from a place of open-hearted generosity. We are asked to give with intention and out of love. Today's offering will go to the ministries and programs of this congregation, and there are several ways for you to give. You may text UUAA to 73256, or visit uuaa.org/giving and select weekly offering for the fund. Here in the sanctuary, you may leave cash or check donations in the baskets as the ushers make their rounds. Thank you for your generosity, however you choose to give. I invite the ushers to please come forward as this morning's offering is gratefully given and received.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, and it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we've designed. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be a part of it all. Share your dreams with me. They may be right, they may be wrong. Say that you'll bring me along to the world you see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake.
Such a lovely voice, and I'm one of the lucky ones who got to hear it twice. Thank you, Kristen. And now, as our ushers come forward, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit as you are comfortably able. Our words of dedication speak to the better world we seek. Please hold that world in your heart as together we say, to the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Thank you. You may be seated.
Last week, one of the things Reverend Manish invited us to consider is how, when the time calls for it, spiritual warriors arrive. Sometimes it's us. Have you ever seen a movie where there's a warrior in the scene? They do all this cool, fancy stuff. Do you think they just know how to do that? Like some people are just like born knowing how to do those things? Or is that one of those things that just takes like years and years of discipline and practice? Like all the, not just when they feel like it, just not like, oh, I don't know, should I go golfing or should I go practice for 5 hours? They do intense things in order to be effective warriors. And I think spiritual disciplines are sometimes like that, some harder than others. I invite you to join me in doing just one exercise that's one of many disciplines for thinking of being possibly a spiritual warrior in a Unitarian tradition. I invite you, first, just take a big breath. Notice how you're feeling, how your body feels, either in the chair or standing up. And you can close your eyes if you like to, but the first step of this exercise is to imagine someone that you like, just have a natural affinity for. Could be someone from your life at present or someone from the past, just anyone who's easy to like. And imagine them right here in the room with you and say in your heart the following intention. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be free. It's common when we express good intentions towards someone we know and like that it feels good for us too. Our hearts feel a little warm. It feels good. See, if you have any of those feelings, try to hold on to the feeling as well as the intention as we move to the next step. Try imagining now someone you feel indifferent toward. Maybe someone you just don't know very well but see on the streets or at coffee hour. And picturing someone you feel indifferent towards, see if you can feel the same intention as you say in your heart. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be free. If you can still hold on to that feeling, see if you can still hold on to that feeling as we move to the next step. Try imagining now someone whose face you just can't even stand the way they look. You ever have somebody, they just make the whatever expression it is on their face? If you can't relate to this, I'm happy for you. But there are some teachers in the world who have special abilities to get under our skin. Try imagining someone like this. And see if you can express the same intention. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be free. It's ironic that sometimes it's easier to express compassion towards other people, even towards people we don't like, than it is to express that to our own selves. And so the last step is to imagine you're looking yourself right in the mirror right in your own eyes. And with that same intention, say, may I be happy, may I be at peace, may I be free. Amen. So when we were talking about themes for this service, it was before the election. And I was dreaming of how nice it would be to revisit different notions of beloved community and utopia, what the good life looks like. And in recent events, it just feels like my heart just drops out of my chest, and I don't even know, like, can we say the same thing? I thought about being all dramatic and like ripping up the sermon in front here saying, we can't preach that anymore, but the music's too good and it doesn't work with an iPad to rip it up. So we'll start by revisiting some of what Manish shared with us last week with, one, when needs arise, spiritual warriors are also there to help guide us along the way. Also, we don't need to pretend everything is okay, because it's not. The role of our congregation is as important as ever in our society. To meet together in solidarity is a kind of sanctuary, both to be around like-minded individuals, to share in the highest values we can articulate, but also a sanctuary in a real rubber meets the road kind of way of providing safety for those who are not safe. And also to remember our spiritual and cultural role and heritage as change makers, of being able to speak truth to power and be part of that change in society as we move forward. And so my intention is not to try to sugarcoat anything. You know, if I tried to do that, it would be like to tell the utopian novel. In school, some of us had to read some utopian novels of different kinds, and imagine if I were to try to say, oh, do you remember that one beautiful story where there were animals who got along really well together and could kind of talk to each other? And they sort of self-organized and were self-empowered in a way that they kicked the human farmers who were the oppressive force, they kicked them off the farm so they could live in peace and tranquility as animals. And then, you know, after years, they were able to not only reconcile their own differences, but back with the humans. So the neighboring farmers were back on the farm at the end, and the closing scene is of the pigs and farmers playing cards together. You remember that story? Don't read the book and don't fact check that, anyone. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, but I do want to lift up the importance of continuing to dream and continuing to name our values and to not go silent or not being willing to risk along the way. You know, an unlikely place to look for some inspiration of utopia is to the 1840s, where there were a number of utopian projects starting at the same time. Brook Farm, for example, was a transcendentalist utopian community established in West Roxbury, Massachusetts in 1841. It was founded by George Ripley, a former Unitarian minister. It was rooted in the ideals of transcendentalism, and the community sought to create a society where individuals could live simply, work collaboratively, and pursue intellectual and spiritual growth. Members aimed to balance manual labor with cultural and intellectual pursuits, believing that this lifestyle would promote personal development and social harmony. The farm became a haven for reformers, writers, and thinkers, including notable visitors such as Ralph Waldo Emerson, Margaret Fuller, and Nathaniel Hawthorne. Doesn't that sound awesome? Like, imagine if you got to like work and do some gardening in the morning, some writing in the afternoon, sit down. But I've learned something, and that is gardening is different than farming. You know who else realized this? Nathaniel Hawthorne. He runs both hot and cold when he talks about his time there. On some days he's like, oh, it was a beautiful afternoon with the smell of fresh hay. And other times he's writing, how am I supposed to get any writing done? I was in the fields all day. I'm tired. My back's sore. I've got so many blisters on my hands. How am I supposed to write? And so it's a little impressive that it lasted about 6 years before disbanding in 47. I love artists, by the way, but imagine running a farm together. Another one that was founded in 1843 down the road in Harvard, Massachusetts, was Fruitlands. Now, Fruitlands was started by Amos Bronson Alcott, a philosopher and educator, and Charles Lane, a British reformer. Inspired by ideals of self-reliance, simplicity, and harmony with nature, the community sought to create a perfect society rooted in agriculture and spiritual purity. Fruitlands embraced strict principles, including a vegan diet, abstinence from animal labor, and rejection of material wealth and trade. Its founders hoped to foster an environment where individuals could achieve moral and intellectual growth through communal living and connection with nature. Doesn't that sound beautiful? I mean, they care about the animals too. Like, it's animal rights to the point that animals should not only not be eaten, but not put into forced labor tilling the fields, that rocky New England soil, which they got to do themselves. How long do you think this one lasted? And part of this, a commitment to only doing with what they could grow themselves also meant no trading, no imports, no coffee. 7 months. They lasted 7 months. I'm just saying. The next one is Hopedale Community. And that was a utopian experiment founded in 1842 in Milford, Massachusetts, by Aidan Ballou, a Universalist and later Unitarian minister. Rooted in Christian socialist ideals, the community sought to create a society based on principles of nonviolence, equality, shared labor, and cooperative ownership of property. Ballou and his followers, known as practical Christians, aimed to live out their religious convictions by rejecting practices like war, materialism, while promoting education, temperance, and spiritual growth. The community was guided by a constitution that emphasized moral reform and collective decision-making. By the way, their board meetings were not always as peaceful as yours are here. They are full of, you ever get a group of liberals together and ask for ideas on like what the right way to do something is? We're more of the strain of independent thinkers, and sometimes that can be a challenge, even in naming what the utopia is. So Hopedale Community gets the little bit of prize for lasting the longest in terms of lasting it from the 40s all the way into the 50s. So they get points for that. But what I highlight in these is not that they're failures. I don't think of any of these as failures. I view them as living out of what one thinks of as inspired beauty. That the idea of thinking of things being possible to do different and better in a beautiful way according to one's values is a beautiful thing. And so it's like seeing a flower bloom even if it doesn't last forever, it doesn't mean a flower is a failure. It means like, oh, wow, look at that. That's nice. And so I see some of these communities and also think, what can we learn from that? And what risks are we willing to take today if we dream big? Are we still, I don't know. Is that time over and now we don't need to think big anymore? Now we're just trying to keep status quo. I don't feel like that's where we are, but what would that look like today? Let's try an experiment. You have a marker? All right. All right. So this exercise is pretty simple. We're going to create our own utopia, okay? So do either of you have any ideas of what would make the world better? No? Okay. Say again? Taking the you out of utopia. Okay. Take the you out of utopia like there's there's no me and team sort of way. Okay. What else? What would make the world a better place? Do we have any ideas? Kindness. More kindness, yeah. No, I don't want to introduce any competitiveness, but the 9:30 group had some really good ones. Empathy. Empathy.
A focus on children.
Children focused.
Music.
All right, we have to clarify. What kind of music?
All kinds.
All kinds?
All kinds. Even the stuff I don't like.
Okay, music we don't like. Write down that. Yeah. Working only as much as is necessary. Sorry, I see this hand in the back. No violence. Food security. Universal health care.
Healthy environment.
Healthy environment. What does a healthy
Clean air, clean water, things like that.
Okay.
Patience and persistence. Less income inequality.
So, equal income. And what was the one here that we missed? Patience and persistence.
Equal distribution of resources.
Well, equal distribution of resources. Do you think it should does it matter how much one works?
No, regardless of what you do.
Regardless of what you do, same compensation.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody on board with that one? No? We got some head shakings on that one. Literacy. Just clarifying, do I get to pick the books? Well, I'm on board if I get to pick them. What would you pick? We get to pick. So we'll form a committee. Who's the volunteer coordinator to get another committee going? I'm sorry, yeah.
They're always growing and changing.
Growing and changing. So openness to change. Cooperation. Freedom to vote. Accountability. Easy access to nature. Individual rights.
No isms anymore.
No isms.
Sexism, racism.
Okay. Okay. Unitarianism can stay. No. The other ones can go. Okay. So
Confidence in information.
confidence in information. So
Access, like knowing what you're hearing is true. Like a better way to know if what you are hearing is true. Trust. Yeah, trust.
No disinformation. Accountability. You know, I think we should try this. You're giving such good answers. Let's do this. Should we start a commune? Yeah? You know, I'll confess, I've been asking other people these questions too, because I'm curious and I like to learn. And so I asked, like, for example, I asked my 11-year-old, you know, what would make the world a better place? The answer? Boba. You know, the pearl tea? I mean, that's an honest answer. Just to be clear, I did ask, is it okay if I share this story? And they said, yes, and if you give me $5, I'll give you one for next week, too. They're like a good little capitalist right now, sort of. But how do we manage this? There are, like, a lot of these, I did not see heads shaking. A couple of them could get kind of sticky. No one said democracy. To vote? Okay, I guess assumed in voting, maybe. Honesty. Yeah. No, this is a good list. You know, I'll confess, I'm happily surprised and disappointed. These are, like, not very conflictual. I thought we were going to get more stuff like music. Oh, I don't like that kind of music. I like it, and then we're off to the races, because it's so easy to disagree, and it's so easy to feel like I'm already sure I'm not going to like half of the books on your reading list, right? But I'm going to return the favor. You're going to be like, why is he reading that still? So, same thing with the music too. But it's a lesson to keep our ears open, because some of my favorite music today was music I could not stand the first time I heard it. Or like a new kind of music that just challenges what we're expecting, like the chord progression's wrong or the beat's up, and then it's just like, oh, wait a second, then you find the hook, and then you're like, your world opens up. And that is like a beautiful thing if we can do that in other areas in community where we might have disagreements, but find ways of carving out that way that finds that balance of unity and diversity at the same time. You know, I'm not a big, you know, the American dream is pretty problematic. Part of where this comes from was James Adams, not that James Adam, the other one, the one who wrote the Epic of America in 1931. And he wrote that the American dream, he talks about it in the quote that, a dream of a land in which life should be better and richer and fuller for everyone, with opportunity for each according to ability or achievement. It is not a dream of motor cars and high wages merely, but a dream of social order in which each person shall be able to attain to the fullest stature of which they are innately capable and recognized by others, regardless of the fortuitous circumstances of birth or position, end quote. You know, it's not a perfect ideal, but it's one that's worth striving towards. I sort of think of we had a friend of the family, Uncle Eddie, who, when he had to start using a cane, did not like it at all. And so he would take his cane and he'd go for a walk, and he'd take his cane and he'd just chuck it 20 feet in front of him. And he'd walk over and he'd pick it up, take another couple steps and toss it again. And he'd walk walk for like an hour like that. It's almost like, why bring the cane? But he would do that. He always had that support if he needed it. But I think of that a little bit like what we do with our utopias. That even if it's not, like there's value in casting that vision of having the dream of, hey, let's start a commune. Hey, we got a musician already lined up. We got a librarian already lined up. We can organize stuff. And we need to keep that dream alive, because if we stop thinking that it's possible for things to be better, then we'll just sit back and get used to not knowing what we can trust or who we can trust. And it's easy to retreat in the world and say, I'm just going to wait this out. Hopefully things will get better, when that's not a good strategy. We need to stay engaged. We need to keep our ears open, our eyes open, our hearts open. And so an invitation, going back to Plato, is one of the penalties of refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by people you disagree with. So remember to stay involved. And we'll close with somebody was talking about take the U out of utopia. That's an interesting take, because any Greek scholars in here? Like, what does so like we coined the term utopia with Thomas More in 1516. No place, nowhere. So we usually think of utopia as the good place or the perfect place, but very literally in the Greek, it means no place, that it's a fictitious place. It's confusing because in the Greek, if you say like EU, it's pronounced the same as utopia, and that would mean the good place. But just with the plain U, it just means no place, and that was what Thomas More was writing about with a fictional island that he was describing in the 1500s. So it's okay for the ideal to be an ideal and not fully manifest, but it reminds us of where we want to go, and it gives us a language for naming things that are not okay as they are, and keeps us inspired along the way. May we continue to keep our imaginations alive and our dreaming alive and our passions alive. And we move now to a song that was written in the 1840s. So at the very time these Unitarian and Universalist utopian projects were in place, this is a tune from that time, and likely one they would have sung together. It's number 112 in the hymnal, Do You Hear? the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers, they are yours, mine, and theirs. Do you hear? Do you hear? Let our ears stay open. Let our hearts stay open. Let our minds stay open. And in the words of Theodore Parker, be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere. Its temple, all space. Its shrine, the good heart. Its creed, all truth. Its ritual, works of love. Its profession of faith, divine living. Go in peace, dear friends. Go in